morning, friends. The last session was on arithmetic operators. Today's session is going to be on the other operators. So let us start. I'm going to share my screen and start. Let me get an input from the user. So it's going to be the age console.write line, or write rather. Please enter your age. Okay, and then byte age is equal to byte dot pass console dot read line, right? Okay, now with this age which is entered by the user, I can do certain operations. So let us say I'm going to check the age now. If age is equal to 10, which means a double equals 10, then I'm going to do something. Console dot write line. I'm going to say you are old, right? Now this is going to return for me if I type 10. Let me just type 10 there. 10, it's going to return for me you are 10 years old. Now what exactly is happening? I'm checking if this age is equal to 10, which means the left hand side is the value contained in the variable age, whether it is equal to the value 10. So it's not assignment. Assignment is where you put a equal sign and assign a value that the user is applying. But when it comes to double equal, we are actually checking whether the left hand side is equal to right hand side. There is no assignment happening here. So this is actually a comparison operator. Now there are other comparison operators. If I put age is greater than 10, then I'm going to put your age, or rather you are, or let's make it a little more meaningful. Let's say greater than 12. Okay, then you are not a kid anymore. All right. So this is a greater than sign. So again, I'm comparing, is the age, the value of the variable age greater than the value 12? If yes, only then implement this. Okay. So if I were to type 14, it will say you are not a kid anymore. I can put an else condition also. Here I can put else. Console dot write line. You are a kid. So any value less than 13, right, up to 12, this is the message that should come, and otherwise this is the one. So let us check it out. I'll put 10 as the age. It shows me you're a kid. Let's try 17. It's going to show you're not a kid anymore. Okay, so that's working. Now there are other comparison operators. I can even put it as, say, greater than or equal to. Greater than sign and equal to sign. So which means, let's say 13. So what happens with this is it checks for values that are either equal to or greater than what is there on the left hand side, as on the right hand side. And similarly, I can have a less than or equal to, right? So if less than or equal to 12, I can put it. The condition will not change then. Let's say I'm going to put 11 as the value. It shows your, oh, wait a second. Less than or equal to, you are a kid, right? This is the message supposed to be. A kid, if it is less than or equal to 12. Else it's going to be, you are not a kid. Okay, now let us try it out. I'm going to put 11 as the age and shows you are a kid. If I were to type 40, it says you're not a kid. All right. less than. So what are those comparison operators? You have the double equals, then you have the greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, you have greater than, and you have less than. These are all the comparison operators that are there in C sharp. Now moving on, there are some conditional operators. So with the same example, let us check a condition where we're going to look for two things. So if the age is less than 12 and age is, let us say, greater than 3, all right? You're not a, so you are a kid, all right? Else, I'm going to put a further condition. Else if age is less than 3, all right? Then you are a baby. And then for all other conditions, else, this is going to hold. Okay, like this. Oh, sorry, not this. Else, I'm going to put console dot write line. You're not a kid anymore. Okay, so we are done. So let us again look at what we have done here. So I have given two conditions here. If the age is less than 12 and the age is greater than 3, so it means 4 to 11. In fact, let us make it as less than or equal to 12, all right? So up to 12, I want to take it as, a kid. And then if age is less than 3, well, that's a baby. And all other conditions, which means the age is either 13 or greater. The message, you're not a kid, is going to come. Let us check all three conditions now. I'm going to start with 1-year-old. It says you're a baby. Let us try 10. You are a kid. 13. It says you're not a kid anymore. All three conditions are working. Now the important thing is this conditional operator, wherein I put a double ampersand, actually means and. So both these conditions are supposed to be met to come in and implement this. All right, now let us look at the scenario. If this condition is not met, will it come inside the loop at all? No, because both had to be met and the very first one itself is not met. So it's not going to come in. So there is a double ampersand, meaning, and operator. I can also put a single ampersand. I'll get the same results. The only difference is that even though the first condition is not met, it will still come and check for the second condition before it moves to the next loop, next item in the conditions. So, well, that's a minor difference between these two. Now let us look at the OR operator. Okay. Now let us change the conditions here. Let us say age is less than or equal to 12 is fine, all right, or age is greater than 17, all right. This is a double pipe and it represents the OR operator, or in the sense either of these two conditions have to be met to come and implement this, this line of code. So if I type 12, the first condition is met, it's going to come and implement this. If I type 18, it's going to come and implement this. So I'm going to put here, you're not a team, and just have an else block here. Okay. I'm going to say you are a team. So basically the age 13 to 18, 13 to 17 is teen years. So I'm just separating it out. If any value which is less than or equal to 12 or greater than 17, is going to give me a message that you're not a team. All other conditions, which means values which are 13 to 17 is going to give me this result that you are a team. Let us try it out now. Let's say 11 says you're not a team. What about 19? You're not a team. And what about 14? You are a team. Okay, so that's working fine. So the OR operator is wherein either of these two conditions have to be met. So if the first condition is, let us say, met, should it really check the second one before coming and implementing this? There's no need to. It can directly come and implement this. So similar to the AND operator, OR operator also is a single pipe option, wherein what actually happens in this case is it will check and find that this condition is met, and still it will come and check the second condition before coming into the loop. But there's a minor difference. You need to keep that in mind. All right. So those are the and or operators, which are the conditional operators, very often used in coding. Okay. So moving on, let us now look at two very important operators. That is the ternary operator and the null coalescing operator. So let me take off all these. Now I'll use the age example itself, and the if else statement I want to use, just one single line to get the result out. So in that case, the if else can be done using a ternary operator. So let us see how it is done. All right, into a string value, I'm capturing the result of the ternary operator. So I'm just going to check age less than or equal to 12, all right, and a question mark. Now after the question mark follows the true statement, okay, and then a colon, which is followed by the false statement, which means if this condition is met, the value that I've entered is less than or equal to 12, the first part of it, meaning you are a kid, will get implemented. Else is going to implement this part where it's going to say you are not a kid anymore. Okay. All right. Now that value accordingly come into this string here. So I can then do a console.writeLine value. Let us see now. Run it. So this is actually working as it should now. So once again, just for clarity's sake, I have this age which is captured from the user, and the age is checked to see if it is less than or equal to 12. If it is less than or equal to 12, the first part of the ternary operator gets implemented. The true condition, yes, condition met, so implement this, and that's going to get captured into the string value. Supposing I enter an age of 14 or so, or greater than 12, this one, the false condition, gets met, and this is the value that gets into string value, and then I'm just printing it out. So ternary operators are just the 4 lines of code with the if else statement can be trimmed down to just a single line over there. So ternary operators are quite useful, but we need to keep in mind that at a first level or second level of nesting, it's still okay, but beyond that, it can get complicated. So what is nesting in case of ternary operator? You can have a loop within a loop in ternary operator, going up to 7 levels, I believe. So what happens here is, within the true condition, for example, what is that we are checking? Whether the age is less than or equal to 12. I'm going to again check for conditions. So age less than 3. and a question mark. So it is, I mean, it is less than or equal to 12. That much is established. Then it comes to check again further as to whether it is less than 3 or less than or equal to 3, let us say. Then we'll have again true false statement, true or false. So the condition is met, I'm going to say you are a baby. Else I'm going to say you are a kid. Wait a second. How? Yes. So that's one level of nesting that I have done, wherein within the true statement I have again an if else loop. So let us see how it works. Okay. The age is 2. It's going to say you are a baby. If it is 4, you are a kid. If it is 13, you're not a kid anymore. Fantastic. So it's working fine. So this kind of nesting can go on further and further. But the problem is, if you check here, it's beginning to look complicated. A ternary operator is not as easy to decipher as an if else statement, which is so evident. The logic is so evident in front of you. So you need to be a little cautious about how you use ternary operator. Don't make too complicated a loop in here, where it becomes later on difficult to debug the application. So guys, so that's ternary operator. We have one more last thing to learn as part of the operators, and that's a very important operator. It is called as a null coalescing operator. So let us see what that is. Any built-in data types in C#, let's say an int x, cannot take null as a value. What is null and how is it different from 0? 0 is again a value, right? But null is a scenario where you're not assigning any value at all. So I can leave it as not assigned in this fashion, wherein I just declared a variable, but I cannot declare a variable and say it's got null value in there. I can then assign a 0 or any other number, but I cannot say x is equal to null. So that creates a problem, because in the database, any of these data types, unless it is a primary key unique number, it can accept null as a value. Even integer can accept null in the database. So if you have an application which is tying up with your database, and in the database that integer value can be null, there is a mismatch between your database and your types and your C# types. So to bridge this gap, you can actually make a built-in data type as a nullable type. So you see, I can just put a question mark here and then make it nullable. All right. So I'm going to give a famous example. Let us say I have a nullable type, say total tickets, movie tickets. Okay, it's equal to null, and then I'm going to initialize a available tickets, which is not null. Okay, int available tickets, let us say, is 0. Now it's not required. All right. Now, the condition I'm looking for is if total tickets has some value inside it, it's not null, then I want the available tickets is equal to total tickets. And in case the total tickets is null, in such a scenario, I want the available tickets to be 0. Why 0? Because it cannot accept null. All right. So I can just put an if else statement. If total tickets is equal to null, I can say available tickets is equal to 0. Else, now here is where we'll have the trouble. Available tickets is equal to total tickets. It's a problem simply because total tickets is a nullable type. A nullable type value cannot be assigned to a non-nullable type. Reason is it might contain null value. It has a potential to contain null value. In such a scenario, this non-nullable type cannot take this value. So there are 3 ways to handle this. Well, we know for a fact that if the value is null, I am assigning a value of 0. So if it gets to the else block, the value of total tickets is not null. It's got some value in there. So I can just cast that value into available tickets by putting a bracket sign here and converting it to the relevant type, that is int in this case. Is one way to handle it. The second way to handle it is I'm just going to extract the value out of it by putting a dot value. So that's the second method. But with both these methods, I need so many lines of coding, right, to be written. I can avoid all this. How do I do that? That is by using the null coercing operator. It's pretty simple. I'm going to say that available tickets, okay, is equal to total tickets. All right. Of course, it's going to throw up an error. However, a double question mark. And if total tickets is null, then assign 0 as a value. Pretty simple, isn't it? So once again, available tickets is equal to total tickets in all scenarios other than when the value is 0. So when the value of total tickets is null. When the total tickets is null, what happens? I'm going to put a double question mark, which means I'm going to assign in such a scenario 0 as a value for available tickets. Just a single line of code. And let us just print it out and see. Console.writeLine available tickets. Available tickets. Okay. So in this scenario, currently total tickets is null. So 0 is the value to be assigned to available tickets. So let us see what happens here. Gives me 0. Now if total tickets is 100, available tickets is going to be 100. Okay. So that's the null coercing operator, also very useful and very often used in C# coding. So that completes our session on operators. The session that follows is going to be on comments, the 3 different types of comments that I'm going to talk about, and also the types in C# in a little bit more detail. We are going to look at something very important, the difference between value type and reference type. So an understanding of that is very important. So guys, friends, do not miss the session that's going to come up. It's very useful, very interesting. Until then, see you. Bye-bye.